First of all, thanks everybody for joining us. I really want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy days or your evenings or whatever time it is for you right now to join the call and also to contribute your feedback and your insights to the 2012 Charity Barbecue Day. We really appreciate it. My name is Janice Rutkowski and I'm a marketing consultant. I've been working with the team at the head office to help them to manage all of the activities and details and elements regarding Charity Barbecue Day. And we've also got Jacqueline on the call, and she's kindly offered to record the webinar and ensure that everything is working from a technical perspective. So she's behind the scenes, making sure all of the feedback is captured, and she's also going to be replying to any of the chat questions that come up. So I'm going to be doing the speaking tonight, and Jacqueline is behind the scenes making sure this all turns successful in the end. So welcome to everybody. Thank you so much again for your contributions. Before we get into the exciting stuff, I just want to make sure that everybody understands the technical part of it. So if you have any trouble during the call in terms of your connection, your internet connection, or seeing the screen, you can always just log out and then try coming back into the meeting again. The benefit of doing the Reach conferencing and the Adobe Connect separately is that even if you lose the screen, you still have the audio. And if you have any questions, please feel free to just type them into the chat box and Jacqueline can help you navigate through any technical problems you might have. So as you all know, the mute for your phone line is *6. And then near the end of the webinar, we're going to open up the lines and ask for, have a webinar-wide discussion. So at that point, you'll have to unmute your line if you want to speak and have everyone hear you. So it's #6 to unmute at that point. Okay, so with that out of the way, this is just a visual, just in case you're scanning the screen and you're not quite seeing where all the elements are. The participant list is just on the top left. The chat is in the middle left. And then just in case you, for example, get disconnected on the phone, you could write down the phone number and the access code. And again, if for whatever reason you get disconnected, you can always just phone back in and connect in and pick up where you left off. Okay, so why don't we get started then with Charity Barbecue Day. So first of all, the goal of tonight's webinar is to provide you with some background about the event itself. We want to highlight the changes for this year, so what is different from 2011. We also want to explain the roles. This would obviously pertain to anyone who's new to their role, but we know we've got a lot of veteran Charity Barbecue Day volunteers out there too, so we're going to be counting on you to give some great advice and tips and learning. And this is my first Charity Barbecue Day, so I know that the combined wisdom of all of the experts out there is I'm going to be drawing on that as well. We also want to make sure that we review staff support and the resources that you have available to you so you know where to go and find them. We'll talk about posters, the timeline, and the next steps. But most importantly, we want to open up the discussion at the end of the webinar so that you have an opportunity to ask your questions, provide insights, tips, feedback, so that we can make sure that this is the best Charity Barbecue Day ever. So thinking back to where it all began, it was about 24 years ago, actually, that the relationship with M&M Meat Shops started. And since that time, they've committed more than $21 million to the foundation. Now, that's a third of the total research funding dollars. So you can see from that significance that M&M is a very important corporate partner to the foundation. With this year being the 24th annual Charity Barbecue Day, the goal is to raise $1.5 million. And so Charity Barbecue Day is going to happen across Canada in all of their stores. So there's 456 of them. So it's a really huge undertaking to make this all happen. But, you know, Charity Barbecue Day is more than just the May 12th event. There's actually a lot of elements and activities leading up to the event. And it's really almost a year-round initiative. There's not only the day of event, May 12th, and the media or launch event the day before, but there's also an online and an in-store component around the STAR program. That's new for this year, and I'm going to share some of those details on that STAR program with you in a moment. M&M also does a really good job of featuring some specific products within their stores and then donating the proceeds from those sales to go towards that $1.5 million goal. There's an awareness video that goes out, and the next slide actually gives you a little bit more detail about that one. There's a national family dinner night that's held in the fall. There's some golf tournaments that happen throughout the summer. There's local chapter support, and M&M also helps to support the Gutsy Walk. So you can see from all of these different activities and elements that it's really a very significant partnership that affects the organization in so many different ways. And so it's a culmination of all of these activities that help to reach the $1.5 million goal. So as I mentioned before, we are going to be introducing a couple of changes, and it's all for the better. One of the exciting things is that we have a new face of Charity Barbecue Day. So many of you might remember from 2009 when Landon, we introduced him into an awareness video, and we featured his story. He was a 9-year-old boy from Medicine Hat, Alberta, and he was recently diagnosed at the time with Crohn's disease, and he was really struggling with it. The initial diagnosis was tough because he was really feeling the effects of the disease, and it really affected the whole family. So now we sort of flash forward to 3 years later, a few dosage tweaks, and Landon's actually enjoying good health. He's now active and doing all of those things a young boy should be doing. And so he's going to be representing the new face of Charity Barbecue Day. And so as of tomorrow, at some point tomorrow, the new awareness video will be, you'll see the link to it on the YouTube channel for the foundation. As well, you'll see it on the ccfc.ca website. So we encourage everybody to watch it and enjoy the story, and also to spread it to your networks as well. We need to get the word out. But overall, I think you'll find that when you watch it, it's just a great and a very moving example of the value and the life-enhancing benefit of the IBD research. So this was a very generous donation from M&M. The next change it's a bit of a minor change, but nonetheless it's important because it affects a key message. So the new minimum donation amount to purchase a hamburger or hot dog at the day of the event is going from $2.50, which is what it was last year, to $3. So we're now asking for a minimum donation of $3. And we don't really expect that the $3 will in any way affect the overall sales or the message. But nonetheless, it's important to be aware of it. And this is also in your volunteer guide. Now, another exciting change this year, it's really an enhancement to the program, and it really allows us to leverage our online and social networks. So for the first time this year, stars can be purchased online, and we've built really essentially a microsite within the CCFC website. So supporters will receive a tax receipt, a printable star, an M&M coupon, which is actually a free apple pie when they go in store and purchase $30, and they're going to be able to see their virtual star within the Walk of Stars. So there's a few elements contained within the Buy a Star online program. The first one being you can literally buy a star. Supporters can customize their star with either their own name or a name of someone that they want to pay tribute to, someone special in their life, or someone they know who has been fighting the fight. This really mirrors the in-store program, where the in-store program, you buy a paper star, you write out your name or you write out your tribute. So we really wanted to create that really great experience that people experience in the M&M stores when they buy a star. Now they can have that experience online. The Walk of Stars is something fun. It is going to be a showcase of the latest 10 stars that were purchased. So it kind of mimics the Hollywood Walk of Stars just sort of a fun element to it. The tax receipt obviously is a great benefit as well because it encourages higher donations. But and just to be clear about the in-store element, so it's a little bit different than the online, but they both complement each other. So in-store, consumers can go and buy a star for $2, and for the $2, they're eligible to win a $500 M&M Meat Shop gift card. For $3, they get a star, a blossom pastry, and double the chance of winning the gift card. And then for $5, they get a star, a coupon book worth $50 in savings, and triple the chance of getting the gift card. So again, some great incentives there, both in-store and online. And this is just a screenshot actually of the page that you're going to all see tomorrow that has the Buy a Star program integrated within the CCFC website. And as of tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, when you go to the CCFC website in both the English and the French version, you can go and buy a star. You can search for a star. You can see the Walk of Stars. You can see this whole program come to life online. Now, part of the star program is also the social media element. And last year, we introduced the social media campaign for the first time. So this year, we want to equally leverage all of the information through social media. So get the Charity Barbecue Day information out there through social media, your Facebook updates, Twitter updates, even just by emailing your friends. But also driving people to the website is a very important element. And so we feel that by creating the online star program, we're not only driving people to the website, but we're creating a new opportunity to help to meet the $1.5 million goal as well. So check out the website tomorrow. So now I just wanted to talk about actually a summary of the role of store captains and chapter coordinators. Now, I know you know what your roles are, and I know for sure the chapter coordinators know what their roles are, but because we've got this opportunity to get everyone together, we just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And if there's any questions or concerns, then we make sure it's, everything's transparent. So in terms of local partners, the store captains and chapter coordinators, you all represent our connection to the local partners and the local communities. So it's there's a few elements that sort of encompass the role. The first one being stewarding the stores year-round. And from a coordinator point of view, it's about managing all of the stores within the chapter area throughout the year and providing them the information that's required to effectively and successfully manage a charity barbecue day. From a captain's perspective, it's about the specific store that they've been assigned and managing that relationship. And then the other role is to promote local and online awareness about Charity Barbecue Day. So it's really about spreading the word to your networks. And we've provided some tools to be able to do that. One of the big ones is really driving people to the website because now this year, volunteers can register online, you can buy a star online, you can get information about the event online. So it's really now a nice one-stop shop to get people excited. Communication with the stores leading up to the Charity Barbecue Day is also really important. And that encompasses determining the actual support needs for the day, as well as getting volunteers together, supporting the day of elements, and then scheduling the needs. Ensuring ongoing contact pre and post Charity Barbecue Day. There's a lot of lead up to the day, but then there's still a lot of work to do after the day is over. And of course, recruiting volunteers is really a huge, huge responsibility. And from a coordinator point of view, it's about recruiting store captains and day of volunteers. And then from a captain point of view, it's about recruiting the day of volunteers. And even getting captains for next year. So we've had many store captains that have been with us for a long time. They have so many Charity Barbecue Days under their belt. It's so impressive. And then there's some captains that come in new each year, but oftentimes the captains that are new each year, they've been involved in Charity Barbecue Day at some point or another. And so it's a great opportunity for current captains to identify future and new captains who may have taken on more of a leadership volunteer role in past years. So it's also important to make sure that after the event is over, that the volunteers and the stores are recognized and thanked. And we want to ensure that we retain volunteers year over year and thank them appropriately for their contributions. Overall, we want to ensure that we've provided a positive and rewarding experience for all of our volunteers. So a lot of people have asked about the different support that's out there in terms of the staff at CCFC. And so first and foremost, the regional staff really drive the overall success of Charity Barbecue Day because they're very, they have such an important role in terms of getting the volunteers together and ensuring that we've got the, very valuable store captains to make sure that the Charity Barbecue Day is successful. So within the regional staff, the responsibility is to, in very sort of high level terms, to steward the local stores, support local volunteers, and then work with M&M regional offices as needed. Now, in terms of myself and John and Jacqueline, we've been managing media efforts. We've also been managing all of the various activities that encompass the broader Charity Barbecue Day program. And that includes providing everyone, especially the volunteers, with the resources and the tools so that they feel like they're well equipped to be successful in their roles. And then from a national staff team perspective, it's really important because this is such a significant corporate partner to work directly with the contacts at the head office, including the founder of the organization, to really build and nurture and maintain those relationships and make sure that the communication lines are open so that we've got good information about their plans and that we can effectively plan and build strategies that are put in place for the upcoming years. Now, we've created what we call the Gutsy Community, and it's a great online portal. It's kind of like a one-stop shop area to get all of the resources you need to equip yourself with the information you need to do a great job on Charity Barbecue Day. So we've created an area for the volunteer resources, and I've also noted here the email address to our help desk because if you don't yet have a login and password to access Gutsy Community, you'll need to email this email address to get one. And then once you have your login and password, if you ever have any problems accessing the site, you've got a contact there. There's a lot of resources available within Gutsy Community, and this is actually a list of what you'll be able to find. So first and foremost, the 2012 Volunteer Guide is a really, really important document. It's 26 pages long, and it basically covers everything you need to know about Charity Barbecue Day. At the end of the guide, we've also included examples or sort of templates of outreach letters, and we hope that these will be put to good use. Please feel free to modify them or put your own special touches on them, but we just wanted to put together some templates to get you started, and we hope that they're helpful. Contained within Gutsy Community, you'll also find the volunteer sign-up sheet, the volunteer schedule. You'll find electronic versions of bag stuffers and posters. Now, we've also started our mailing campaign to get all of our store captains their posters, thank you cards, and envelopes. So we are starting to mail out 10 posters as well as thank you cards and envelopes. But I thought I'd take the opportunity now, actually, through the chat area of the site. If you haven't received posters and thank you cards and envelopes, if you could let us know in the chat area, then we will go back and look at our mailing lists and go back and make sure that you're on the next one so that it gets sent out within the next 24 to 48 hours. So if you could do that right now, that would be really helpful, and then we can make sure we get them out to you. So here's a few visuals for you. I was talking about the bag stuffer. This is what it looks like. So this is really just it's a mini poster. It's about a third of this, the actual bag stuffer is about a third of the size of the poster. And really the best way to use these is as individual handouts. So sort of handing them out or distributing them like a flyer. we got some feedback from some store captains from last year that said, they really didn't use the printed copies. So what we did this year is we created just an electronic file. So for people who felt that it was going to be valuable, they can print out copies and then hand them out. But then if there's other individuals who just don't think it's helpful, then you don't have to use them. But we did get some good feedback actually in the last webinar, and one woman suggested, she's actually done this for a few years now, and she said it was really a great way to draw people to the event. So the Friday before the event, she actually handed them out at the GO train station. So, whatever your sort of local transportation hub is, you could potentially sort of stand in that area and hand them out as flyers as people get off the train and are heading off to their weekends and starting their weekends. So I thought that was some great feedback. Now, if we go to the next slide, I've got an image of the new poster. And this is the poster that we're starting to mail out to everyone. So thanks for your feedback. I can see on the chat area that some people received them and some people didn't. So like I said, we're going to make sure that everybody gets their 10 posters. It's a very colorful and eye-catching poster. And there's a lot of opportunity here to use this poster to build some awareness and anticipation of the event. So our best advice, and this is sort of advice that's been gathered over the years from people who have been in this role, and this is my first charity barbecue day, so you guys know much better than I do, but what we've heard is that there's really sort of a timing perspective on this thing. You don't want to hang the poster sort of too far in advance. You don't want to hang the poster too close to the event or sort of too late because people's schedules are already booked. So it looks like the popular time to get the most impact is sort of the 2 to 3 weeks prior to the event. So it's really the end of April, beginning of May is the best time to get that poster up in your local community areas. And it could be in neighboring but no, not competing stores. It could be in restaurants, banks, libraries, offices, health clubs, grocery stores, community centers, your local high schools or post-secondary institutions that are nearby. But the another suggestion that has been done for quite a few years is at doctor's offices or GI clinic waiting rooms and hospital waiting rooms. And this is certainly a time where you've got a captive audience who's potentially even thinking about the cause. And so what a great impact that makes when you catch someone at the right time, when they're actually thinking about either the cause or the organization. So all good ideas here, but we leave it up to you as the experts of your local communities to make the best call on how you want to promote and draw people to the event. Now, the next slide actually is a very condensed timeline. So obviously there's a ton more detail involved in this timeline. And you'll see on page 17 of your volunteer guide that it's a much larger timeline, but I wanted to highlight just some of the key milestones from now up until the event day and actually after the event day too. So we've only got a little bit more time left in March. We're almost in April. It's actually hard to believe. But end of March, sort of beginning of April is actually a great time to start to think about the actual barbecue day experience and some ideas for creating a great experience for all of the people that attend the day. And so some great examples of creating a great experience is to bring a celebrity burger flipper, to invite the mayor. We've had some feedback of charity barbecue days that have had the local firefighters there. They've even brought their truck. I can just imagine the kids getting so excited to go and climb on the firefighter's truck. What a draw. There's also been local MPs. It's also a great idea to get your Business Improvement Association involved because they can also have some great sort of pull. We really encourage you to leverage your local community leaders as much as possible and share that information back with us because it's a great opportunity for the foundation to start to build those relationships with the key leaders in those communities and not only just to start the relationship but to nurture the relationship over time. And if we know who attended the event, and if we have those names, then we can help to nurture those relationships through the years. Now, March is also an important time to review the volunteer guide and just make sure everyone's familiar with all the details, especially the new store captains who may not have done that role or may not have even been at a charity barbecue day before. But then moving into April, it's important to touch base with the franchisees and just to understand what their needs are, to understand expectations. You know, there's some franchisees who feel more confident when they're managing all the food, and then they really want the volunteers to support that effort. So if that's the case, then it's good to know that up front and in advance so you can plan your volunteers' schedules and manage the roles appropriately. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's franchisees who want the volunteers to do everything. And so that if that's the case, then likely that store would need more volunteers. And so these are all important things to know ahead of time. Social media is obviously going to be really building up in April because we want to promote the event. We want to get the volunteers. We want to drive people to the website to buy a star. And it's important then, once you start to get your volunteers established, is to start to assign roles and responsibilities to the volunteers so that they're well prepared. They know what to expect when they come to an event, and so they can be productive. And then they also feel like their time is being well used and respected. And then in later April, mid to late April, starting to confirm the event logistics with the local meat shops, finding out exactly how it's all going to work. And then from late April to the beginning of May, that's a great opportunity to get those posters out throughout the community, confirm the volunteer schedule. So again, the volunteers know exactly what to expect. And then the day of event, we actually have a checklist within the volunteer guide. So I'll refer you over to that. And then post-event, you know, even though there's so much lead up to the event and there's so much anticipation and so much planning ahead of time, it's really important to think about those things that we still have to do after the event. And some of those things, for example, are the volunteer and the franchisee follow-ups and thank yous and making sure they're well recognized. And then we're also going to be distributing a post-event survey to every volunteer. And we really, really need your participation in the survey so that we can always, you know, gather insights and improve for the next year. And we really want to hear how things are going. And in that post-event survey, that's a great opportunity to include, you know, the names of the dignitaries or the celebrities that attended, and just, you know, an overall feel for how the event went. Because even though, you know, the organization has been doing this for 24 years, everything changes. There's always new ideas. There's always new ways. And, you know, it's very competitive out there too. There's a lot of events that people's time that they give to. And so we want to make sure that Charity Barbecue Day is always top on the list of the event that people want to go to. Now, we always encourage our volunteers to send us the feedback directly as well, if it's not covered off in the survey. And don't forget about the photos from the event day. We had a really good question in one of the last webinars about getting people's approval through a waiver form for photos. So we will be providing a waiver form on Gutsy Community just to make sure that the photographs that are taken at the event are, you know, you've got approval from the people who are in the photos, especially if it's, you know, a child or just a person, an individual in a photo. At all times, we want to make sure they're aware that these are potentially going to be used in promotional materials or on the website. And then if we have their permission, then we can leverage those photos. And we've actually leveraged a photo of a group of volunteers on the website. And, you know, it really captures the spirit of the whole event. A photo just says so much. So we really encourage you to pass on your great photos to us. So to quickly recap the next steps, the first priority at this point really is to make sure that you've had an opportunity to review the volunteer guide. As I mentioned, there are some changes, there's some new additions, and there's a lot of detail in there. I think the detail can help definitely, you know, someone who's new to Charity Barbecue Day, it'll help build your confidence so that you feel well prepared. And then for the veteran Charity Barbecue Day volunteers, it's just a great reminder of what's involved, and then also an update when there are some areas that have changed. So next step also includes contacting local franchisees, establishing the volunteer and support needs for the actual day, May the 12th, communicating this to your local staff rep or volunteer coordinator if applicable, recruiting volunteers. Oh, I know that's such a big job. And getting the scheduled day of shifts, ensuring communication with franchisees leading up to the event. We really, the best laid plans are when there's no surprises. So we all know that the big surprise for the day will probably just be the weather. So everything else, I think we can plan well for it. It sounds like it's going to be a really fun event. I've heard feedback from a lot of people that it's just such a great day, and this being my first one, I just really am looking forward to it. And then after the event is over, we want to make sure the franchisees and the volunteers are thanked and recognized. And of course, succession planning is so important because it's the continuity of the volunteers that helps to make this event so successful. So we want to make sure that we have accurate and documented volunteers so that we can add them to our system and keep track of them, communicate effectively with them, and not lose them over the course of a year. Now, I wanted to take this opportunity to open up the phone lines. This could be a great opportunity to ask questions. It's also a great opportunity to share your experiences. If you've had some great successes along the way that you think other people could benefit from, we'd love to hear it. We'd also like to hear what your challenges are. And obviously, if there's something that we can do to affect that, that issue this year, then please bring it to our attention. And what we found in other webinars too is that sometimes the challenges that come up, there's other people on the line that actually have the perfect solution for it. So I welcome you to ask questions, share insights, feedback, anything that you'd like at this point. Does anyone have any questions? And it's #6 to unmute your phone if you'd like to contribute at this point. I see a question actually in the chat room from Laura. It says, is there a student recognition letter on the Gutsy community to give to high school students for their hours? That's a really good question. And we actually had some feedback in previous webinars saying that our high school students are some of our best volunteers out there. They're so enthusiastic. And in certain provinces, especially in Ontario, it is actually part of their high school curriculum that they have to do community, serve their community and do some volunteer hours. So I think that's something that we could put together for you. It sounds like definitely in Ontario, we would have a lot of high school student volunteers. So we'll put together a recognition letter and we'll post that in Gutsy Community so it can be easily accessed for everybody. Hi. I'm going to address one of the questions in the chat because it's a good one as well. So it says the email stated that volunteers who register online are entered in a draw for a barbecue. My volunteers are returning and don't usually register online because I phone them. Can they be eligible somehow for the barbecue draw? I think the easiest thing to do is because everybody has access to the internet or a computer. If they don't have their own computer and internet connection, they can always go to a local library. Encourage them while you're talking to them on the phone to just go, log in quickly. You could even direct them to the site and ask them to register online, because then they will become eligible for the barbecue draw. I love the fact that you phone them, because that's such a personal touch. But maybe you could just mention to them on the phone that if they're interested, then they just need to input their information into the form online. Does that seem like that would work? Oh, there's a good question. You know what? I'm actually really glad you brought this up, because I think there's a huge opportunity to slightly massage the key message. This is something I have never thought of, and this is the value of volunteers that have done this before. I definitely think we could massage the key message so that it still comes across as very um, uh, welcoming for individuals. If $3 is all they can afford, that's fine. But maybe there could be more stress on the minimum. And then, like you said, like if they give you a bigger bill, you could say, "Would you like the change?" And because you know what, if someone gives a five, and if you said, "Oh, would you like the change, or would you like that to be a donation?" Then it's easy for them to say, "Keep the change." Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I heard this saying many, many years ago, and I think it's really true, is someone said to me, "You know what, if you don't ask, you won't get it." Yeah, and so maybe there's a better way to sort of emphasize then, yeah, people don't think it's, obviously they don't want to think that they're providing a donation to a private sector organization. If it's a minimum donation, but if you want to make a larger donation, all the proceeds are going to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of Canada. Yeah, exactly. The other thing I was just thinking off the top of my head is you could do, and I think I haven't actually seen the t-shirts this year, but I think the CCFC logo is going to be on the backs of the t-shirts, and you could always sort of point if there's a sign nearby, or especially one that has the gutsy character. If you can see something nearby, just sort of point to that and say, like, after all the proceeds go to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Exactly. Exactly. Almost doubling it. It's amazing. Thanks for making that comment. Is there any other questions or comments that anyone would like to share? Sure. Wow. And so, how have you dealt with that in the past? Hello? Did we lose you? I think we lost her. Um, I'll address it because I think it's a really good issue. And so, just for the sake of the recording, I'm just going to summarize quickly what the question was. So, the question was that sometimes volunteers specifically request that they don't want to volunteer at a certain store because they haven't gotten along with the store employees or the owner in the past, or they haven't had a great experience in the past. So one of the solutions has been to move them to another store. In other situations, the owner has changed hands, so that sort of resolves that. The other thing that kind of came to mind though was for those specific volunteers, maybe there's a way of thinking about the volunteer roles, and there's some volunteer roles that interface more with the M&M employees or the store manager, or maybe there's particular people, but maybe there's other roles that don't interface as much with the particular store managers. Maybe there's some day of event sort of roles that could be, with less interaction with the stores. That might be a way to address it because, it's a very sensitive issue, absolutely. And I can just imagine how tough it is to diplomatically address it with the actual store. The M&M franchisees in the organization in general obviously has been so generous to the foundation, and so it's certainly a sensitive issue. But I guess we have to think creatively about how we could redeploy that volunteer. I know it's not always an option to move them to another store, but maybe there's an option to redeploy their particular role in a different way. There's actually another question in the chat room that I'll bring up to the group, and it was just about the t-shirts. And so we're going to have to get back to you on the t-shirt strategy this year and if all volunteers will have a t-shirt. So let us get back to you on that, but we will make sure that you have that information in short order so that you can manage expectations up front on that one. I can imagine that's another delicate issue that needs to be managed. Well, why don't we'll find out the details on our end, but I think you're right. There might be some opportunities to have past volunteers to bring their, just wear their T-shirt from last year. Why don't we see what the plan is, and then we can manage it up front just to make sure that we're sort of taking the right approach. So, but that's a good point about sort of recycling the T-shirts. Reuse and recycle. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Orange is the hot fashion color this year, so you never know. Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. That's the true benefit of having that retention and the continuity of volunteers. That's amazing. Oh, this is a good comment. Christine just commented on bringing some music for the day. Oh, music makes every event more exciting, doesn't it? Inviting a DJ actually to the event would be, I mean, if someone knows a DJ, or even if, there's a lot of young DJs who are trying to get work experience. They're trying to get more on their resume. And I knew an individual who, when he was sort of starting out his career, he would do it in a volunteer setting because he was just trying to get something on his resume. Yeah, getting radio stations involved is a fantastic idea. That's cool. That will be a great drawing power too, to have the high school band. An Elvis impersonator. That's great. So Christine's got all new team members. Looks like you got a new volunteer. Jacqueline signed up for you. Yeah, we will research the t-shirt issue because there's gonna, like you said, there's gonna be some teams that have, they're all prepared and they've got that continuity. But if you've got a brand new fresh team, then we'll have to figure out how to support that. We will do some research on the t-shirt issue for sure. Jacqueline's getting pulled in so many directions now. Now she needs to go down to Windsor. Are there any challenges that anyone wants to share? Oh no. Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. I guess there's sometimes, like you said, if it's just sort of a coincidence that people have booked vacations, then it's a bit of a wild card. Oh, amazing. Hmm. Definitely. Yeah. It sounds like it's a really great family event. And I think for kids too, it's such a great experience for kids to understand what it means to volunteer. You start them at a young age, and it's just such a wonderful experience for them to know that it's important to give back to their communities. Do- Oh, put on your hat. Well, I think that's another situation where you do have to give them the opportunity to rectify the situation. If it's the owner's friend, then it's really the owner that should be enforcing the rules. And I would say, the area that you have control over is all of the volunteers that you've recruited. And so do your very best to make sure that they're all compliant, and doing their best effort. But for the volunteers that are, or for the store employees that are, under the M&M banner, I mean, they really have to be leaders, of their own team. I know it's a very awkward situation, but I would definitely focus on the volunteers that you're responsible and that you've recruited. But it's interesting because from what we've been hearing, the feedback is that some franchisees really want the hands-off approach, and that they really want the foundation volunteers to manage everything. But then you've got the other end of the spectrum where there's franchisees who really want to take control of the handing out of the food and the cooking of the food and the money exchange. And so that's really the important thing, is to find out early on in the process what their needs are and what they're comfortable with. Yes, and actually, I was able to review the. I mean, I was given them and both Jacqueline and I were given them as an FYI to review all the materials that M&M sends to their franchisees, and they do receive a very detailed hygiene, health and safety standards and policies to follow. So they are educated and knowledgeable on what's expected. And so, as much as we can possibly control it, I mean, absolutely, we need 100% compliance on all of our volunteers. But I think there's good ways to even give a friendly reminder to people, like even just the fact that there have been health inspectors that have attended some of the charity barbecue days. I mean, that would be a good thing to just kind of mention as you're walking by, like, oh, did anyone see the health inspector? But if all of the supplies, like the gloves and the like the hand wash, and if all of those supplies are at the ready, then that's a good visual to encourage people to use them as well. But yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line, right? Like when food is involved, you have to make sure the policies and the safety practices are followed. That actually might be a good piece of pre-planning to talk to the franchisee about, I just saw some of the chat discussion about who brings the gloves. Does the franchisee or the store supply the gloves, or do the volunteers? And that's a great sort of thing to cover off in the discussion beforehand. And then if they're taking the responsibility for it, then it gets done. Any other tips out there from people? We have fun. Oh yes, absolutely. I can't wait. I think it's going to be a really fun day. I'm just going to move to the next slide because I've included my email address. Um, just so you know, we've recorded this webinar, and we're going to be posting a pre-recorded version of the webinar as a link on Gutsy Community. So as new store captains enter into the fold, and we'll make sure that everybody has access to this orientation tool. And I've included my email address too, because if you're ever unsure of something, just don't hesitate to send me an email. And I may not know the question right away, or the answer to the question right away, but I can definitely point you in the right direction. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Well, it's 10:28. I'm thinking that for some people it's the bedtime. Is there any other questions, or does anyone have any other closing thoughts? Oh, well, thank you so much for your presentation. Oh, I got a hand clap. I love these. I love these webinars. They're fun. Um, Thank you all for your participation. Great comments, great questions, great tips. All of your contributions are going to make everyone else's experiences that much more rewarding. So thank you to everybody, and keep in touch. And like I said, don't hesitate to reach out. And on that note, I think we're going to sign off.